So Robert Saleh was the first coach fired today, or yesterday, or whenever the hell y'all are hearing this. And me personally, I smell bull. Try not to curse so early in episodes anymore. Hell doesn't count, it's in the Bible. So there's several reasons why I feel this way, but I want to start all the way from the beginning, right? Let's start from day one. Hey, you aren't subscribed? You ain't like, follow, comment? What are you doing? Hit the notification button, hit subscribe, get with the program, so everything can be fun, everything can be copacetic. Why you gotta be so difficult? All right, back to the episode. So if you remember, Robert Saleh was the defense coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers prior to becoming the head coach of the New York Jets. Very important detail there. In 2021, he inherited an absolute travesty of a New York Jets team. More of a travesty than usual, because again, it's the Jets. Super travesty from Adam Gase, who's so bad, he has not been an NFL coach since. Not a QB coach, offense coordinator, receiver coach, nothing. He is nowhere to be found. I had to Google to make sure he was alive before I started recording this. First thing they do, they draft Zach Wilson, which, the most obvious bust of all time. Go check out the opening kickoff podcast we did around that time. I said it then, I'm saying it now. This isn't hindsight being 2020. Maybe don't take the 5'10" kid from BYU just because he makes cool throws. But if you look back at that draft, including Mr. Generational quarterback Trevor Lawrence, not sure how much better they could have done anyways. So hey, take Zach Wilson. It is what it is. First season as a coach, rookie quarterback, they're 2 games better. They go from 2-14 to now 4-13. This is when they just made the switch from the 16 to 17 games, by the way. So the numbers, y'all know. If you're watching this, you know. All right, 2 games better. And not to mention, Zach Wilson stinks for his entire rookie season. A commonly reoccurring theme of Zach Wilson stinking, by the way. Year 2, they end up with another high pick. They draft Sauce Gardner. Quinn Williams starts to come along. CJ Mosley returns to all-pro form. Quincy Williams is starting to come along. Everything's on the up and up. The Jets had a 4th ranked defense that year. We're finally seeing solid ball. They're 7-10. Zach Wilson still stinks, but again, that was gonna happen anyways, and Saleh's a defensive coach. So now we go into year 3, enter Aaron Rodgers. We'll go much more into depth on him later, but let's just lay the foundation. Aaron Rodgers, after hiding away in the darkness to do drugs or meet with shamans or whatever he was doing in the darkness, says, I want to be a Jet, which we should have known something was wrong with him if he really voluntarily wanted to go to the Jets, but that's fine. I want to be a Jet. All right. Every backup quarterback not named Zach Wilson for whatever reason, gone. Bring in my drinking buddy, Tim Boyle. That guy, Mike LaFleur, he's the brother of the last head coach I didn't like. Gone. Get him out of here. Bring in my other drinking buddy, Nat Hackett. We are now all in on the Aaron Rodgers experiment. We went 7-10 with Zach Wilson. How great can we be if we get Aaron Rodgers? Super Bowl favorites. Hard Knocks coming in. 9/11, ESPN, Monday Night Football, season opener. Rodgers is hurt 4 games into the season. Y'all know how I went from there. Yet and still, 7-10 again, having to roll Zach Wilson back out there because nobody at the Jets organization was smart enough to go, what happens if our 40-year-old quarterback happens to get hurt? What's our plan then? And even hypothetically, let's say that they did. Their backup plan was, hey, you know that thing that hasn't worked the past 2 years? Let's do that again. Yet and still, through all the chaos, the weekly media storm that Robert Saleh took all the bullets for a decision that clearly wasn't his. And you could see it on his face every single press conference. He's asked, are you going to bet Zach Wilson? No. The team, blah, blah, blah. We actually think Zach played well, fresh off a 3-interception game. And but whatever, that season's over now. Zach Wilson's gone. He's now the 12th string quarterback on the Broncos. Aaron's healthy. This season starts. Now, this leads us to Aaron Rodgers, Woody Johnson, Nat Hackett, and a bunch of not even competing stories, just math that isn't mathing. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure if that's the right analogy. It's math that Aaron Rodgers and Woody Johnson are trying to tell us isn't mathing. Maybe by the time y'all hear this, or a week after this comes out, the math might have mathed a little bit better. Matter of fact, I'll just read. Adam Schefter. This is after the news that Robert Saleh has been fired has been announced. Jets owner Woody Johnson said he spoke to Aaron Rodgers Monday night, but it wasn't about Robert Saleh. Johnson said Rodgers had no input in the decision made this morning. Another tweet, Jonathan Jones from NFL on CBS. Ousted Jets head coach Robert Saleh was considering firing offense coordinator Nat Hackett before he himself was fired Tuesday morning. That corroborates with another story that Diana Rossini for The Athletic did that a lot of people didn't read because that's a paid subscription thing. Side note, credible publications, please stop putting your actual credible sources behind paywalls. That's why people are so stupid and keep repeating misinformation because they got to pay for the right. You know what? That's not this video. We'll get there later. So they clearly have wanted to get Hackett out of there. And Rodgers before was the reason Hackett still has a job. So let's get back to the math real quick. So you're telling me Robert Saleh wants to fire Aaron Rodgers' bestie. Rodgers meets with the owner on Monday, and then Robert Saleh gets fired the following morning, escorted out the building by security, didn't get a chance to meet with the team or nothing. Full blown embarrassed this man. And you want me to believe Rodgers had nothing to do with this? The same year that we see them going back and forth in the press conferences, the same year that we saw them all offseason long going back and forth about Aaron's not here at training camp because he's doing drugs in Egypt allegedly, and no, it's not excused, and they're arguing about cadence, and Aaron Rodgers is pushing this man on the sideline. You know how much, try not to curse, you know how much gusto you have to push your head coach who's twice your size on national television on a game they were winning too. They were playing my Patriots. They were kicking our butts and they still had the nerve to push his head coach on national TV. The balls. And you want me to believe, Aaron, forgive me for a second. You want Jets fans to believe that Aaron Rodgers had nothing to do with this. Jets fans are a lot of things. They've been through a lot of things. You know what they aren't? Stupid. Jets fans aren't dumb, bro. You're telling me I'll put this information in front of a 5-year-old and I promise you they will come to the very simple conclusion of, oh, Aaron went and got that man fired. He cost that man his job. Cause what other conclusion am I supposed to come to? But let's get back to the on the field product, shall we? Remember, defensive coach Robert Saleh. Since Robert Saleh got fired in 2021, first season in New York. Mind you, this includes that first season 4-13 where they're the worst team in the league, worst roster, worst offense, defense, everything. Since that 2021 season, first in points per drive, first in EPA per play, and success rate. This season, 2 games ago, they lost 10-9 in a game where Bo Nix threw for 60 yards. The last game to the Vikings, they went up 17-0 first half, partially because Rodgers forgot what color jersey he wore and ended up throwing 3 interceptions for the whole game. Held him to 6 in the second half. Offense couldn't get nothing going. And back to the Jets fans for a second. If that game, because that's the other thing going around, that Woody Johnson's really upset that he got embarrassed in front of his London friends, and that's the main reason Robert Saleh is getting fired. Jets fans, let me break it down to you like this. If watching your offense stink in London led to your defensive head coach being fired because that's the conclusion the owner of your team came to, suddenly all the history of your team should make a lot more sense. If that's his line of thinking, let's say Aaron Rodgers didn't go up there and tell him to go fire him, because that's the other conclusion. That's the other way. No, I forgot. There's story number C. Story number C is that he's been thinking about this for years, and this was the final nail in the coffin. So hold up. Hold on. So you tell me you've been thinking about this for 2 years. This past offseason, Bill Belichick and Mike Vrabel both were available to be hired. Even if you didn't want them, hell, Ben Johnson, Bobby Slowick, a lot of coaches, Jim Harbaugh, if you want to look at him, a lot of coaches were available for hire. You've been thinking about this for 2 years and you didn't do it. But at 2-3, with a chance to tie for first in the division if you by some miracle beat the Bills on Monday, this was the nail in the coffin to fire Robert Saleh. Bruh, stop it. Stop, bro. Stop. Why must you insult the intelligence of your fan base like this, bro? Why? What do you gain from this? In every other circumstance that it has been listed, with the way this Jets offense looks, all the numbers I just put in front of you, this the stories, the way it's looked on the field, all that usually adds to the offensive coordinator getting fired. All that, objectively, like every other story, insane, rationally ran franchises. All that equals fired offensive coordinator, at worst benched quarterback, right? We can agree on this. Neither one of those things happened with the Jets because of one man, Aaron Rodgers. And this is the last thing we're going to do before we move on to the games and the top 5 games of next week. And we will get off this topic, I promise. If you have listened to this podcast before, you know I'm not a fan of Aaron Rodgers as a person, as a human being. Just not my type of guy. I'm not going to get into that right now because that, honestly, whether you believe me or not, has nothing to do with how I feel about the way the situation went. Objectively, everything I'm about to read to you is 100% fact. This happened. All right, I'll just read it. The Jets are 2-3. They have scored 93 points, the exact same that they did last year, with Zach Wilson starting and playing every snap outside of those 4 that Aaron Rodgers played to start the season. So offensively and team record-wise, they are the exact same team right now as they were with Zach Wilson last year. We already covered the whole Robert Saleh, Woody Johnson, Nat Hackett dynamic. We don't have to go back into that. But to Rodgers' last coach, Matt LaFleur, paraphrasing a little bit here, feel free to dig more into the story on this. But the reason that coaching, him and Matt LaFleur never saw eye to eye, because he didn't want to adjust to Matt LaFleur's offense. The motion, the pre-identifiers, all that, he didn't like it. He's a traditional West Coast guy. He wants to go up to the line, make all his calls, read the defenses, etc., etc. He wants to run things his way. And hey, Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever live. He's going to walk into the Hall of Fame the moment he is eligible to do so. Inarguable fact, right? So it's his right, if he wants to do that, to do that. However, at what point do you have to look and say, hey, this ain't working? How do you look at your last Green Bay season compared to what Jordan Love looked like the following season with literally the same team? The only change was out goes Aaron, in comes Jordan, same team. Start running Matt LaFleur's offense. Look how that turned out. We're now 6 games in. Come Monday, we'll be 6 games into the Jets experiment. Hasn't worked out. After missing parts of training camp and OTAs because you wanted to take your trip to Egypt to do God knows what. How have you not reached the conclusion, whether you're a Jets fan, whether you're Aaron Rodgers, whether you're Nat Hackett, whether you're Woody Johnson, whether you're whoever, that this isn't working? And this is where I get to speculate here. The one person who had the nerve, the unmitigated gall to tell Aaron Rodgers that the way you're doing things is not working is now unemployed for having the audacity to do so. Best of luck, Jets fans. Hope Aaron Rodgers is worth it. Side note, if I wanted to pull out my race card and really go there, I would point out that Woody Johnson was part of Donald Trump's cabinet for the ambassador to the United Kingdom or London or whatever the hell his official title was, and made it a point to publicly embarrass his Middle Eastern coach 2 days after he wore his Lebanon patch in London. But I would never do such a thing as to add a political or racial agenda into something that clearly has nothing to do with race or politics at all. Because we all know race and sports and politics never intermingle. What? Fuck out of here.